Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and cucumbers. I am Chains. Welcome to the TheChainsProject. Today's episode is Genesis chapter 15, verse 1 to 21. The whole thing, it's all about God's covenant with Abram. Yeah, we're going over this again. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward will be great. But Abram said, O Lord God, what will you give me? For I continue childless, and the heir of my house is Elijah of Damascus. And Abram said, You have given me no offspring, and so a slave born in my house is to be my heir? But the word of the Lord came to him, This man shall not be your heir. No one but your very own issue shall be your heir. He brought him outside and said, Look towards heaven and count the stars, if you are able to count them. Then he said to him, So shall your descendants be. And he believed the Lord, and the Lord reckoned it to him as righteousness. Then he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you from Ur of the Chaldeans, to give you this land to possess. And then he said, O Lord God, how am I to know I shall possess it? He said to him, Bring me a heifer 3 years old, a female goat 3 years old, a ram 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. He brought them all these and cut them in two, laying each half over against the other. But he did not cut the birds in two. And when the birds of prey came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and a deep and terrifying darkness descended upon him. Then the Lord said to Abram, Know this for certain, your offspring will be aliens in a land that is not theirs, and shall be slaves there, and shall be oppressed for 400 years. But I will bring judgment upon the nation that they serve, and afterwards they will come out with great possessions. As for yourself, you shall go to your ancestors in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age. And they shall come back here in the 4th generation, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. When the sun had gone down and it was dark, a smoking fire pot and a torch passed between these pieces. On this day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. So God decided because Melchizedek was not good enough that he'd come down and say hi to Abram, but he kind of spooked Abram. Was like, well, Abram, calm down, dude, don't worry, I'm a shield. It's cool. Oh, so I got a reward for you. Then Abram's kind of like, all right, hey, God, how's it going? What exactly is this reward? By the way, I still can't make a baby. I'm pretty sure I'm doing it right. Like, I read that book, but, still no baby. And then God's like, don't worry about it, man. If you count the stars, we won't be able to count your kids. And then Abram's like, oh, I got to count the stars? You already made me, count all the dust on the earth before, dude. Come on. And then God, face palmed, realizing Abram didn't understand what a metaphor was. And then Abram was like, all right, I'll believe you, I guess. Can't really do anything else, so I believe you. And then God was like, you know what? Bring me a 3-year-old cow, a 3-year-old goat, a 3-year-old ram, a dove, a chicken pot pie, maybe a pigeon, a 3-year-old girl, and a 3-year-old boy, but then get rid of the 3-year-old girl. Because remember, this is a church thing. And, maybe a pink Teletubby. I could use one of those. And then Abram's like, all right, I'll go get you some of those. So he goes and he gets them, and then he's like, what would be really cool? If I cut them all in half. God would love that. So he cuts them all in half, except for the birds, because he decides, why would you cut a bird in half? You can stick it on, a skewer or something like that. Much easier. Better for barbecuing, by the way. And then, the vultures came down and were like, free food that's been cut in half on the ground. Which I really think was Abram's fault, because he kind of, if he cut something in half, the vulture's going to be like, hey, it's dead. Do I get to go now or what? So Abram had to scare him away with his pots and pans. And then, it got really dark. And then Abram fell asleep, and, something scared him. And then God was like, hey, Abram, by the way, all your descendants, they're going to be screwed for 400 years. Oh, yeah, and also, thanks for the stuff. I love half animals. And then, when it got really, really dark, because, when Abram fell asleep, it wasn't exactly dark enough, a floating pot and torch decided to run around the bodies of the dead stuff that, had been killed. And then God was like, you shall have the land from the river in Egypt. Just pick a river you want. And then, the river Euphrates, that one is really cool. And then a long arcanic list of stupidness followed. Alright, first thing first, we talked about the river Euphrates again. In case you didn't know, the last time we talked about river Euphrates was before Noah showed up. And after Noah, the flood supposedly changed the entire geographical landscape of everything, except for the Euphrates River. Unless they decided to rename that, I find that to be kind of a strange occurrence to happen. I don't know. What do you guys think? So in case you guys missed it or haven't read the rest of the Bible yet, there was a very big foreshadowing there where God said that Abram's descendants, the Jews, were going to live somewhere that wasn't their land, a.k.a. not the land of Canaan-ish area, and that they were going to be oppressed for 400 years until God rained righteousness. For some reason, this reminds me a lot of a movie I saw called The 10 Commandments, where Moses was a total awesome person. So a.k.a. it's what happened to Abram, but way bigger and way more awesomer, Sarai was kind of taken prisoner for a little while, and then God threw plagues at the Pharaoh. But now Abram's all of his offspring are going to be taken prisoner for a long time, and God's going to throw the big plagues at them and they're going to get to go free. I really think it's kind of a big alluding of if you're a Jew and you go to Egypt, you leave with awesome stuff. So I suggest if you're Jewish, plan a vacation in the near future. Now, a lot of people like to point out, well, the animals that God called Abram to bring, don't they have some kind of a significance? And people have been like, well, they probably do, but we don't know what it is. The Bible doesn't say specifically what it is. People have got speculation of the heifer's amazing strength and, being faithful, the goat's sure-footedness, the ram's thick-headedness, the turtle dove, Christmas, and the pigeon was just to throw people off. That's what it was. Now, the part of them getting cut in half and then kind of separated and whatnot is a very common tradition of the period of time. It was when people were making an agreement between each other, a.k.a. a covenant, but not one as awesome as one that involves God. And what happened is they would cut the cow in half, separate it, and then they would walk in a figure-8 pattern around it to symbolize them joining, with the other person, a.k.a. the infinity symbol, if anybody knows what that is. Kind of looks like that. Coolio stuffs. So then when God made the pot and the flaming torch do it, it symbolized him making the great covenant with Abram. Again, by the way, just so you know, we've already gone over this a couple times. Now we get to the moral of the story, and there is a lot of disagreement about what exactly it is. A lot of people like to claim that it's, the covenant again. But I have to disagree, because we've already gone over that, and, that's technically not really a moral. That's more of a, hey, Jews are awesome kind of thing going on. The moral that I found was actually faith. If at the very beginning, God's like, don't worry, you're going to have a kid. And Abram was just like, all right, cool, I believe you. Abram didn't really question God. He was just like, oh, all right, awesome, stars, cool, I agree. Obviously, I'll have children. Hopefully, I believe you. That's faith. The very first happening of it, that's great, having faith in somebody, believing them, taking their word for it. That's something that I believe should probably happen more, but, we invented these things called contracts and liability and lawyers and lying. That is it for this episode of The Chance Project. I hope you and your cucumber enjoyed it, and please leave me your comments, questions, krill, and concerns in the comment section below, or send me an email. I love them so much. And I was working on an outro, but I've had a boner for over 4 hours, and my doctor's on vacation, so, yeah, I'm worried.